Morning. Guys, this isn't even your ball. I guess it is now. They've commandeered it. Obviously, the dogs start their workday a little bit earlier than I do.
Anyways, it has been almost 4 weeks since I fired up the camera and checked in with you all, so I have a lot to share with you.
Arguably, the biggest news is that my wife and I welcomed our newborn son, Graham, to the world.
Baby boy.
His older brother, Lenny, though, has had a little bit of adjusting to do.
Hey.
Say hi, Lenny.
Hi, Day.
Okay, enough of the formalities. I gotta clock in or I'm not gonna get anything done today. I do have something fairly neat to show you. The team at Chevy was kind enough to throw me the keys to a 2024 High Country HD pickup truck with a 6.6 liter Duramax 10-speed Allison transmission, all new interior, to kind of test drive for a week and share with you guys my thoughts and opinions on this nice new ride. Without further ado, let's get after it today.
This 10-speed transmission in the newer trucks is butter smooth. Definitely an upgrade from some of the previous renditions that had the 6-speed. Great visibility, great looking corn, hard to complain. Here's something else noteworthy. Our early April planted short season 3-1 soybeans are starting to turn. Typically, once you see them lose a little bit of color, you're looking at 4 weeks until harvest. In this case, that process started a week ago. So in 3 weeks, I think the combines will be rolling out here in this field. The unfortunate downside to that is that I do see some water hemp out there. Weed control was hit or miss this year with the dry weather we had all growing season. There's another field of those earlier planted 3-1 soybeans. You can see some yellow coming into them, even planted a week later. So harvest is near. We probably need to start setting our sights on getting the equipment ready. I know those of you who've kept track of me for the last couple months keep asking if the new bin has been built yet. Here's your answer. I need to hop out of the truck and actually show it to you. But the interior on this High Country is so nice. The seats are so plush, I really don't want to get out. Oh, I'll do it for the content. Okay, here she is in all of her glory. A 48-foot Brock grain bin. I do need to clarify something that I spoke incorrectly on when I talked about this bin in the past. I thought it was going to be a 50,000 bushel bin, which would be 8 rings. It ended up just being 7. I'm not going to pretend that this is my bin. This is Dad's. It's his money. It's his project. He went with the 7-ring bin, which is about 44,000 bushels of dry corn storage, because that's the tallest we could go without having to get a bigger auger. Although a bigger auger, or longer auger, I guess I should say, to load it is not necessarily a big financial pill to swallow. It is kind of a storage gremlin that we didn't really want to deal with at this point in time. So we can always add a ring later. This is our bin. Should be pretty nice to have.
And actually, it's not even done yet. They need to come back and lay the floor.
Here is the inside of a brand new grain bin. All of these holes here are going to be what fasten the floor down. I believe the fan will go over there. This bin has one heck of a concrete foundation. The main reason is just there's a lot of fall or grade change as you come from north to south here. They needed to do that to get it off the ground. And of course, it'll give us a little more room when they put the out auger, I think, right there to unload under it. So should be a nice setup.
It is going to have the luxury of a power sweep, although I would argue that this right here is the nicest thing. These spiral staircases are so much nicer than the ladders on the other bins. 1, they're safer. 2, they're less effort to get up. And 3, they allow you to get a nice view of the farm. Other than a few gnarly patches of that silly burr cucumber out there that was one heck of a headache last corn harvest, this big field of soybeans looks fairly good. All that we need to do now is get rid of these old bins that we haven't used in decades and probably do some dirt work here to catch some of this water that runs off of the farmstead here and just creates one heck of a wash through there. That's pretty bad. With the way these staircases are designed, we could actually put another bin right here and share this scaffolding. We'll see if that ever happens. My dad told me that this is the last grain bin he's ever going to build in his lifetime, just because he doesn't think he needs any more. So I've heard a lot of farmers who trade their combine for the last time or trade their tractor for the last time. And the joke is you fast forward 20 years and they're still trading combines and tractors because they never retired. It's hard to retire though when you got fancy equipment with massaging seats and Chevy High Countries that just make farming super enjoyable. I've procrastinated enough. Let's get to the actual meat and potatoes of today. With harvest rapidly approaching, Dad and I thought, you know, maybe we should at least get the bean planter unhooked, especially because the 8R370 is my grain cart tractor. There is actually a very valid reason why we never unhook this planter, and no, it's not just because we're lazy. I'll explain that once I get this backed out.
The only downside to the new bin, other than the cost of it, is that that is normally the route I back things out of the shed, so our yard is getting a little tighter. I also don't think Chevy would be too happy if I backed into their brand new demo pickup. Sorry guys, that's just the price of progress.
Before I back this planter out to Timbuktu to clear room to move stuff around in the shed, let's talk about the reason you probably clicked on this video, the issue with our planter. A lot of you probably watched my video 2 months ago where I addressed this warranty part issue on our DB60 planter that was brand new this spring. You can just consider this an update on that saga. For those of you who didn't watch that, I'll fill you in real quick. The DB series planters, or the Bauer built bars, are an entirely different planter frame design than John Deere's standard 2-point narrow transport models. That's basically the standard design like our corn planter has. The DB planters are much heavier. They're made for either wider working widths than our standard or more rows. In this case, we wanted a 36 row planter, 20-inch row spacing on 60 foot, so we had to go to the DB series planter. It's very heavy, it's very robust. When you've got a lot of weight in the equation, your axle area, your carriage area is extremely important, and we noticed something that was a little bit off on this one. Other than the weight that sits on the tongue of the tractor, which is still a very considerable amount, everything else is directed here to your main frame. It all comes down here and is spread out through the axles, which is primarily attached right here. To put it in a little bit different perspective, you've got almost a $500,000 planter here, brand new, held together mainly by the support of 12 bolts on the main axle, 6 on top and 6 on bottom. After running the planter all spring, Dad and I noticed something a little bit peculiar, and it was the fact that one of these 12 main bolts was starting to stretch and actually bend a little bit, which is concerning because, like I said, it was a brand new planter, and you really don't want to see something like this, especially if you're planning to keep it for a long time like we are. This was quite an investment for our farm. I wasn't saying the price to brag, I'm just kind of putting in perspective the amount of money you have to invest in modern equipment for capacity and efficiency. You don't have to be a rocket geologist to realize that you kind of want everything to be snug. And this little gap right here is not really too standard. Of course, this was a brand new planter built in the beginning of March, I believe, maybe the end of February. Comes with a 1-year warranty after delivery date, so we're good. John Deere came out and looked at it, but they realized that the problem was more than just an improperly torqued bolt that was stretching. The problem was that the main upper assembly of the carriage here was cast wrong. It's actually bent. This is not stretched because it wasn't on right and just rode up with wear as we went through the field, you know, planted all spring. This piece right here that goes all the way up, the plate area here that attaches it together, that is actually warped or just not properly cast. First off, I just want to clarify that we did not notice this problem till after we were done planting in the spring. For all intents and purposes, it's really not that big of a deal, but like I said, for long-term reliability of your equipment, you don't want a brand new implement looking like this. You want it as flush as possible, machined or cast perfectly right. You don't want any kind of extra clearance because over time, that will start to wall out and eventually things will bend worse, will break, and worst case scenario, your axle will snap off of your very expensive and important planter. A warranty job of this degree, of this severity, and of this uniqueness is actually above our local dealership's pay grade. Alliance Tractor has nothing to do with this story. I mean, they're great, their service department's phenomenal. We love working with them. The local regional corporate John Deere warranty guy came out, he looked at it, and he realized that not only was the part bent, it was actually cast wrong from the factory. It's not wear and tear. I was not hard on this planter. If as easy as I was on this planter, this spring caused that to bend, I would not trust the reliability of any of their equipment, but that's not the case. Maybe I'm just trying to make myself look better, but I'm just saying I did not run it hard enough to cause that issue. He ordered a new part for us. He said, we'll get it in, we'll get it taken care of, which is why the planter is still hooked up. The story gets better because it's almost September now, end of August. You would think that this issue that we noticed in May would be alleviated by now. I know I'm talking a lot here. I'm moving to the shade because it's going to get almost to triple digits today, and I'm going to stay cool for as long as I can and wrap this story up so I can get finished with my work. Here is where an interesting story gets even more interesting. They order the replacement part. Dad said that if we were paying for it out of our own pocket, it would kind of be in the neighborhood of 10,000. I can't honestly remember the number. It was either a little less than 10,000 or a little more for just that part. Obviously, it's a lot of iron in there, cast, very important and unique, so adds a lot of price. And then you put the John Deere parts premium on there. You got a lot of money invested in this brand new planter. It's got 1-year warranty, so we're covered on that, no big deal. They order the part. It comes in end of May, beginning of June. They inspect the part. It is also warped from the factory or from whatever secondary production facility creates these. John Deere may not even cast those themselves. Okay, well, they send it back. They ordered a new one, or they kept that one and ordered a new one. It takes another 3 or 4 weeks to come in. The second replacement one comes in. It is also warped. So it's a little slightly concerning. All right, we'll order a different one. They order a different one. It takes another 2 or 3 weeks to come in. It comes in, you know, they measure everything, they evaluate it. It is also warped. Then they're just delayed. At this point, we're already into July where all 3 of these have come in warped. It's not fixed, but there's no reason to put another one that's not right on the planter. So long story short, all 3 of the replacement ones they ordered for our planter were all warped, meaning that our planter is still not fixed. Not that it's possible at this point, but to make a long story short or summarize it, that's the entire reason the planter is still hooked up. We would have unhooked it 6 weeks ago on our own timeline, but we thought, well, they're gonna get this part in at some point. We're not gonna mess around with hooking it back up. We can just take the planter in, get everything put back together the way it's supposed to be, then we can back it in the shed and unhook it and worry about it next year. The issue is that all 3 of those very expensive and unique replacement parts they ordered were all cast wrong or warped or whatever the issue is. I'm not a mechanical engineer, so I don't really understand the discrepancies there, but it's not fixed. My only concern is that we have it earmarked moving forward because you only get a 1-year warranty on a brand new planter. It's 2 years on tractors, combines, or maybe 1 year. I don't know. The warranty's different all across, but you really don't get that good of a warranty for how much you pay for some of this equipment. Whatever, that's a completely separate tangent. I just said to Dad, you know, we took delivery of this planter in end of March, meaning that our warranty for 1 year starts the day we sign the delivery sheet for the planter. So next March, we run out of warranty. Our concern is just making sure that it's noted that, hey, this needs fixed. It's a warranty claim. We want to be compensated for the repairs, or we want the repairs to be covered under the original warranty because the warranty claim was initially started while it was under warranty. Realistically, I do think John Deere has one of the best warranty departments you can find as long as your equipment's still under warranty. I don't think they're gonna try and pull a fast one on us. I will say though that if you own a new DB60 manufactured from March until today, August 2023, you may check that and see if yours is warped too, because if the 3 parts they sent us were all warped, then maybe all the new ones are coming warped. My wife's family also has a DB60. It's a 47-row. They got it in February, so a month before us, and theirs was not warped, which only highlights the fact that there is an issue from ours and then on. The only other thing that could have possibly happened is that they just shipped us the same part 3 times in a row, hoping we'd take it. I really don't know. But either way, there's at least 2 warped ones out there because the one on our planter is warped and then the ones they shipped us are warped. So yeah, if you got a DB60 or a DB planter at all manufactured from last March until now, definitely check that carriage frame there and make sure yours isn't warped too. Okay, I'm sorry about that. That was a little bit long-winded, but I just wanted to update you on the status of our DB60 planter. I hope none of you have the same issues we're having, but at the same time, I think John Deere will stand behind all of them if you do. Let's go find somewhere out of the way to unhook this ripper. Normally I would just back it right in there, but I believe we have some lime coming in that we're going to start piling there where that small pile of leftovers from last year is. I guess I'll go over to the other shed somewhere and find a spot. It's a bad day to take a tractor like this down the road. It's so hot that the road oil is bound to get everywhere. This lot is a great parking spot as long as it's bone dry. If it starts raining every day this fall, I'm going to really regret parking the Ripper out here. With my luck, my dad will end up calling me about 2/3 of the way through unhooking this, right as I'm about to pull the pin, and find out that I'm unhooking it here in the lot, and then somehow miraculously have a different idea of where it should be parked. Expect me to move it. Maybe I got a hammer in here. If not, I gotta walk over to the shed. Now remember, kids, you can't wiggle it too much, you'll make a mess. Check this out. Look at how much this pin wears, probably from just pulling the field cultivator. A lot of rattling around, a lot of weight pulled against it. And this is even a category 5, which I don't know if that has anything to do with the durability of it, but it is a heavier pin. That's probably why it didn't want to pop loose, is because it was just catching this groove. Maybe we need to pull it the opposite direction this year, like that. Holy smokes, it's hot outside, folks. Not a good day to be doing outside labor. I saw somewhere where the feels like temperature today is like 115 degrees by the time you take the temperature and the dew point and all that jazz. Not enjoyable. Definitely need to stay hydrated if you're outside. I'll probably just go ahead and hook up to the inline ripper or the subsoiler and bring it over here and just park it next to that thing. It's not going to hurt him to sit outside for a month and a half or two. Uh-oh, I've been caught. He was already shaking his head, so he must have disagreed with something I've done. That's not surprising. Nothing like sitting in the air-conditioned cab with leather seats while the man with one surgically repaired shoulder and one bad shoulder turns the jack. I can get used to this kind of work. What do you want to do with it?
What'd you do with the scissor plow?
I put it east of the red shed. There's room for it there if you want.
Okay, put it there.
Okay. Dad's probably going to start positioning the DB60 there, and I'm going to go unhook this. That's a sharp looking pickup truck. Fits right in with our nice John Deere equipment. Dad's off on some other adventure. I've got a spectator. That really is one of the best parts of living here right by the farm, is that my children get to grow up and kind of see what we do day in and day out. Obviously it poses a little bit more of a safety concern because you got to keep an extra eye for the small children around here, but everyone in my family knows to pay attention. Katie and her kids lived there for a while, and they just know you got to be careful when there's kids around the farm because you never know where they could end up, and definitely don't want to hurt them. I am really getting excited for this harvest because Lenny's getting older, he's understanding things more, and he's going to get to watch us harvest all of this ground here behind the farm from the view of the house there, because you can see a lot of our farm without even really having to move much. We'll get her parked nice and square in here, get ready for the auction, you know. Strangest coincidence how our equipment just always ends up parked in the perfect spot to take a YouTube thumbnail picture. Crazy how that happens. Time for the main event, unhooking the DB60 for the first time. A little bit different than what we're used to, so we got to make a few adjustments before we start backing in. Or I guess we can make those adjustments once it's in there.
I'm gonna get out and check.
A U-bracket right here where the wings come together to stabilize all that. You put the stops in the wing wheel cylinders to act as kind of your jack stand or your base, and then you use the drawbar lift to raise and lower it down so it'll sit down. Oh man, does it feel good to be back in the Chevy. Whew. It's a warm one, folks. I probably already mentioned that a time or two. You may or may not be able to tell, over the course of the summer, I've made it a priority to help improve my health and wellness, specifically in regards to getting more exercise, eating better, and ultimately losing some weight. I found that getting a jog in the mornings, doing things like that is really not that challenging. The hard part is eating right. It is surprisingly difficult, especially in the middle of the day, to make nutritious and smart decisions about what you're eating. That's where the sponsor of today's video, Factor, comes into play. Eating healthy and accomplishing those goals is even more challenging if you're busy with work or with your family like we are, so the convenience of these Factor meals is really hard to beat. You don't have to worry about going to the grocery store, chopping up vegetables and meat and cooking all of it. All you gotta do is get your Factor meal of choice out of the fridge. I'm choosing herb-crusted chicken today. All meals are fresh, never frozen. You pop them out of their box. You get a couple of holes in the plastic for venting. Pop them in the microwave, 2 minutes. I'm also a big fan of the Protein Plus options. This meal in particular has 40 grams of protein. You're gonna be hard pressed to find that in any kind of prepackaged meal, especially with the flavor that this has. The hardest part about this entire process is waiting on this food to cool off before you eat it. I'm about to dig into the herb-crusted chicken, and Allie's got the broccoli and cheddar ground beef. I would be amiss if I didn't mention that Factor also offers other things than just lunch and dinner meals. They offer breakfast options and snacks as well. That's good. It only took me a couple of minutes to get this from out of the fridge in my stomach. With our busy season coming up, harvest time being of the essence, especially around dinner time, this is definitely a tool that I will make use of to hopefully continue to stay the course and eat healthy and hopefully lose weight along the process. The busyness of that season, I'm sure you can all relate in one way or another with your work, really makes it hard to stay on top of our goals, but you can make it easier with Factor. If you or someone you know of even has the slightest interest in trying simple prepared meals of the highest quality and nutrition, now is the time to act by getting your order started for some Factor. Head on over to factor75.com or follow one of the links down below and use code TrippyFarmer50 for 50% off on your first Factor box. That's right, 50% off. It's almost too good to be true. I'm not sure how long that's gonna last, so act quickly. Head over to factor75.com, follow links below, TrippyFarmer50 for 50% off on your first box. I appreciate Factor for sponsoring today's video and supplying me with an extremely high quality product to stay on top of my personal goals. Now back to the regularly scheduled programming. Apparently I'm a little rusty at this whole camera operating deal because I didn't bring a backup battery and I ran my first one dry. We got all the other tractors back in the shed. Next on the list, although probably not today or tomorrow with how hot it is get the 8R370 cleaned up, ready to hook it up to the grain cart. And then we might explore the idea of working on the combine header equipment. Possibly could do that tomorrow, but we'll see. You could probably buy 2 of these 8R340s for what this big boy right here costs. No, that's not ours. We do not have the acres or the financials to justify something like that. That's the old X9 1100, the biggest combine Deere makes. That X9 actually belongs to my wife's family. They just traded their 790 in for that, picked up some acres and wanted to cover ground more efficiently.
and the X9 is the way to do that. Sitting right in front of us and next to the X9 is this 16-row folding corn head. Also, I believe it is a Stockmaster, so it is chopping. And then for cutting soybeans, they have one of those 50-foot hinge flex drapers. Whatever the biggest one is. Maybe there's a 55, I don't know. But they got big heads for their big combine. The only thing they haven't got yet is a second grain cart for corn, but for some reason they don't think they'll need that. I guess they'll have to learn that lesson the hard way when the combine stops every through because it's picking so much corn.
I've sweat enough water and electrolytes out in that shed hooking and unhooking equipment that it's going to be hard to find motivation to do anything too productive for the rest of the day, which is no big deal. We still got 4 weeks until harvest. I do need to start doing some header prep, which will probably occur in the next video. I am going to run out and pull an ear of corn just to kind of show you guys where we're at. Okay, walked right into the field, not even that far. This isn't a great or highly scientific sample. Not doing a yield count, I just kind of want to show you where we're at. 3 years in a row I pulled. You can see there's a lot of variability out here. I believe this is all 116-day Pioneer corn, planted that first week of April, same time all these beans were planted that are maturing, although I don't know. You can see that we're very rapidly approaching black layer. As a matter of fact, I would say looking at the milk line on this corn as it's progressing on the kernels, that we are 7 to 10 days out from black layer, meaning physiological maturity. After that point, there really can be no harm done to the ears, other than possibly lodging of your plants causing harvest losses, but yield quality issues, test weight. Once this is black layer, there's not going to be much changes there. Ears look great. I'm not going to calculate it like I said. Looking at this, that was planted at probably a 35,000 plants per acre target population. This is 240 plus bushel corn without a doubt, even given some tip back in some of the ears. They're not all going to be stellar, but they do flex a little bit, so that does help our cause. Only thing that may hurt us a little bit is that this field did have that early frost, and I think we may have lost a few plants here and there, ultimately causing maybe some issues with stand counts. Although once the combines roll here in another 6 to 8 weeks on this corn, once it gets down to sub 18% moisture, that'll be pretty darn good and definitely heavy. I also wanted to just highlight an ear leaf for you. I'm seeing next to no disease on these plants, maybe a little gray leaf spot, northern corn leaf blight working its way in as the plant kind of starts to shut down, which is not that concerning. No tar spot at all, even starting to flare up, no rust, common or southern. That Mirvis Neo we used on this field definitely gave us stellar plant health going into the most important stage of the growing season, and it's still holding fairly strong. Some of this deterioration you're seeing is probably just maturity of the plant. Everything's kind of just winding down, and I've got no doubt in my mind that we've probably maximized our growing season, test weight, and stock quality by using that Syngenta product to protect our yield out in the field in terms of fungal pathogens and help promote plant health. On a similar note, our local county farm bureau had their annual yield tour. I was busy working here, so I didn't make it out for the first time in 10 years. I will say that when you go to a yield tour, you look at the numbers, it's not necessarily important to focus directly on the yield numbers because depending on the metrics they use, they could be higher or lower than average. Our yield tour this year at the local county farm bureau and across our entire county, which is 7 or 8 townships, I don't know how many, came 2 bushels less than last year. And 2 bushels less than last year, given that on our farm we produced an absolute stellar crop, averaged over 240 bushels an acre dry across the whole farm. Maybe we're off 1% from that. We might make 235 to 240, or we could be worse, maybe better in spots. There's going to be a lot of variability, but I think we can rest assured knowing that we're probably sitting on a fairly good corn crop. The soybeans, I mean, this heat can't be helping them in late August and the lack of rains, but at the same time, who knows with soybeans? Sometimes they can look terrible and yield great. Other times they can look great and yield terrible, so really no predicting them. Anyways, that's probably going to be it for me for this video. I've got a meeting I need to go attend with a seed dealer. They're already doing their rounds for next year trying to sell you seed, and I might as well get that out of the way. Definitely consider a Chevy High Country heavy duty 6.6 liter Duramax if you're looking for a new work truck. It's really high quality. It seems like I love the interior, a lot of accessibility features, and it's just fun to drive. Definitely something I'd recommend, although you need to stick around or tune into the next video if you want me to give a more lengthy review, because I'm going to have this all week, so I'll put it through its paces as we go in and out and do different things on the farm. As always, everyone, I greatly appreciate every single one of you continuing to tune in and support the channel. Your viewership means the world to me. I'll catch you all in the next episode, but until then, make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and comment down below if you have any questions. You know I love to talk about farming. Have a great day, everyone. Peace!